Distinguished dignitaries on the dais. It is indeed an honor for me to have been invited here and to be with you for a topic which is indeed very, very significant, and as time goes forward, very, very important for India. I especially thank Mr. Devra, who had written to me to be part of this, and Mr. Ravi Gupta, of course, who has organized this. I think now there is a lot of understanding on what the entire IT space is, what is digital, and what India is doing to use IT and digital for financial inclusion. So I will not get into that. But Mr. Devra rightly pointed out in his speech that the potential that we have still, even after what we have achieved in India in the last 5 or 10 years, is immense. And just to take some numbers and examples, State Bank of India, for example, even 2 or 3 years back, we used to say that how much of transactions would happen in the branch and how much would happen outside. In fact, if you look at the topic of today, it is not just using digital for financial inclusion, but also saying that physical and digital. So they have used a very interesting term called phygital. So in SBI, we now do 87% of the transactions outside the branch. That is just pure transactions, which is like 3 or 4 years back, we were doing only 40% maybe outside the branch. Out of this 87%, maybe 32% happens on the ATMs, which is cash-based, but another 50% is actually happening online. And for our regular, online platform, we now have almost 5 crore customers. So 5 crore customers of SBI, which is considered to be an old kind of bank, 5 crore of our customers are on online. So there has been a lot which has been done. But the ultimate aim that I think the conference is looking at, and what India is looking at, and what even such a progressive state like Maharashtra is looking at, is to see how we can financially include people. And very rightly, I think the topic has been taken up as using digital in a manner in which we reach out to people, not necessarily without any physical interface. Yes, physical interface will go down. Today, SBI is opening around 1,000, used to open around 1,000 branches per year, SBI alone, without the associate banks, maybe 4 or 5 years back. Today, the associate banks of SBI have merged with SBI, and together we are opening just around 300 branches. So physical presence will be less important, but it cannot be wished away. But physical presence alone obviously cannot do the role, because you have 6 lakh plus, I think close to 7 lakh villages in India. Bank branches are 1,20,000, 1,30,000. Business correspondents, SBI, in addition to 22,000 branches, has about 58 or 59,000 business correspondents. Even they would be inadequate. So you have to use each and every mechanism that is available and to reach out to them. And perhaps the biggest revolution that can happen is when you have a mobile user base, which is increasing by the day. And earlier it used to be the simple phones, but even today a very common person with very limited income probably has a phone on which he is able to not only do transactions but also watch TV and watch movies and so on and so forth. So in this eco-space, what are the things that we need to do? I think there are 2 things which are very, very important. This cannot be done by one institution or one organization alone. Even a giant organization like State Bank of India, or now we have payments banks with India Post also coming in, but even India Post with so many lakh post offices at their disposal may find it difficult to do anything alone. So there has to be partnerships, partnership with fintech, partnership with the startup ecosystem, ecospace. In SBI, we are virtually talking to everyone. We have set up a startup policy under which we can, the government of India itself has a startup support policy based on which we have tried to build our own. There are challenges around partnering with startups, We are also talking to people like who have done some very good work on this, like iSpirit, and of course, organizations like ELTS who are taking this forward. As you collaborate with fintechs, there are a couple of issues that come up, because the most important is you must make it as friendly to the fintechs as possible. So you open up your APIs. As you open up your APIs, issues on cyber security come in, which again, I think exponentially the concerns have increased, because the smartest people in the world are the ones who are looking to hack either ethically or unethically. So these are, I think, the two important things that we have to keep in mind. How do we use the ecosystem which India has built? We have the UADI Deputy Director General. Everyone knows about JAM. I will not get into it. Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, Mobile Trinity. There have been some issues which came up due to court decisions on Aadhaar, which are getting resolved. But after we have the entire JAM Trinity delivering, government is now very broadly taken a call that benefits will be transferred through the mobile ecosystem. How do we actively get each and every one? So in the world, it is said that even after all the efforts that have put in place by countries like India, Indonesia, Kenya, almost 2 billion people are financially, in a sense, unincluded out of the 7 billion roughly which the world population is. Even in India, Jan Dhan has done a huge thing. SBI itself has opened 14 crore accounts. Out of these 14 crore accounts, today the balance is 27,000 crores. They all started as zero balance. It's a very small number compared to SBI's total balance sheet, but 27,000 crores, average balance is almost 2,000 crores in each of these accounts. There are very few limited zero balance accounts, but most of these 14 crore accounts on an average have 2,000 rupees. So change is seen in the air. But I think two or three things, as I mentioned, would be very critical. How all the players in the ecosystem use this India stack or JAM, use it for the benefit of the poorest of the poor, try and see that it is not just a commercial venture, but also reach out to every nook and corner, use every mechanism, whether it is a business correspondent, whether it is a point of sale machine. It has to be a multiple set of things which are done. And at the same time, address these two fundamental issues of how do we make sure that we have a secured environment. Because if you open up your systems, there are issues of data privacy. Every day you will hear some, including SBI, we had a small challenge, which we, of course, there was thankfully no data breach. But we have to be very, very careful as we go along. And at the same time, we have to provide space to the participants in the system, the fintechs, so that they are able to generate their innovative ideas and we can move forward. And finally, the people who are using them, they have to be wise while using them. So it has to be a simple transaction of crediting an account is all right. But when you take it one step forward and try to make them use financial literacy for the purposes of savings and investment, then actually educating them on financial literacy is also very important. And I think banks and other players also have a very important role in that. And perhaps right at the end, I will mention that India has had including SBI, we have played a leading role in reaching out to the common man through various schemes, self-help groups and things like that. I think all this now has to be merged within what we call a digital ecospace and take it forward. I'm sure a lot of ideas come in such conferences, which we also take up, and the same will happen today. I wish the conference all success. Thank you.